Welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we're going to talk about the brand new Poco F7. It was just released and this device is boosting a lot of really good features, but starting at a price point that's closer to $300 than I really thought it was going to be. It has the Snapdragon 8S Gen 4, a large display at 120Hz refresh rate as well as AMOLED, high peak brightness, a massive battery, fast charging, as well as AI and interconnectivity with iOS. Yes, you heard it correctly. The ability of sharing content from your device directly to iOS or even a Mac directly with this brand new Poco F7. Let's check them out and see what makes them so special, and I would like to know at the end of the video, which one do you like the most? Like and subscribe, and make sure you hit that bell icon so that you're always notified to whenever we have new videos for you on the channel. So this is the Poco F7 in silver edition. Actually, this is a limited edition version of it that you can see here. It says limited edition. We have a nice little logo for the Snapdragon. This obviously is iconic for Qualcomm, Snapdragon logo in the back, as well as a 50 megapixel monitor on the top. I'll let it focus for a second for the OIS camera, the main sensor that we have, and it is complemented by an 8 megapixel ultra wide. The battery that we have in here is a 6500 milliampere. That is a massive large battery that is also supported with a 90 watt wired charging. No wireless charging on this, unfortunately. The material that we have in here is pretty much, as you can expect, it is plastic. Again, keep in mind the pricing that we're starting here around $300, $339 specifically for the F7 starting price on early bird pricing. Of course, we have the dual tone LED flash on the side here of the camera stack. But I do want to show you guys real quick, there is a little bit of a moniker here. Like you see here, the camera stack has a couple of little reflectors in here that look absolutely fantastic depending on how the light hits it. And also, if you see this, as I'm showing you guys with this quick clip outside, depending on how the light hits it, especially bright light, like you could see here, as I'm kind of showing you guys, there's a little bit more of a starry sparkle effect. So the silver edition definitely knocks it out of the park. On the side here, we have a power button, volume rocker. On the top, we have basically one of the microphones. On the side here, it's pretty much a clean slate. And then again, at the bottom, dual SIM tray compatibility on the bottom, an additional microphone, USB-C for data charging as well as audio, and a bottom firing speaker that's married with the top one to give us the ability of having stereo speakers. But this isn't the only thing that they sent me. They also did send me the other two colors, which is absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much to Poco for doing that. So we have the white one and we have the black color. Both are offering us different experiences, but they have actually different colorways. You'll notice there's a little bit kind of a different change in tone. They still have that nice little green color. You can see it. It just shines beautifully and it's around the camera stack, or would pin the two cameras. And of course, as you see here, the colors just reflect absolutely fantastic. Again, the silver one still does that starry effect. The black one looks absolutely clean, very much a nice color, and the color permeates even on the sides of the device. The last one we're looking here at is the white one. You can see here pretty much the same configuration, not as pronounced. I'll probably say is less pronounced because of the way the colors are reflected, but it is still a dual tone experience. Poco on the side, and of course the camera stack is still having that nice little green experience at the top. Again, I think this is going to be the moniker for this, at least for the F7. They both look great. Again, same thing, 6500 milliampere, same processor, the 8S Gen 4, same camera stack. Just for the most part, it's the aesthetic, which makes the silver edition at least one of my favorite devices, especially because we have that moniker in here that indicates exactly that this is a Snapdragon powered device. So just a quick recap, it is powered by the Snapdragon 8S Gen 4, a massive 6500 milliampere battery, a large, beautiful 6.83 inch 1.5K 120Hz AMOLED display. With a peak brightness of 3600, which also is supported with the 50 megapixel camera. It's going to be the best camera, the main sensor on the back with OIS. It is IP68 and dust and water resistance certified, which is absolutely fantastic. So you don't have to worry about getting this device a little bit wet. Of course, we can't forget the fact that we do get the 90 watt charger. This is a wired charger, European style plug, as you can see here, USB-A, USB-C. They include the cable as well. And they also do include a case. Unfortunately, not a matched case to the design, but absolutely very nice to be able to see not only that we have a screen protector on the actual device, but also include a case, the charger, as well as the cable. In-display fingerprint sensor, a large beautiful display as we talked about. We have the Google feed here positioned on the side. You can swipe through, swipe to the right. Swiping down on the right, we get access to the toggles. On the left, we get the notification. Swiping up, swipe up from here, you have access to the app drawer. Of course, swiping from the corner gives us access to Gemini. It's built in. We also have the ability of using circle to search in case you guys are wondering how to get this actual wallpaper. All you have to do is just take a screenshot and you'll be able to find it. Again, I downloaded it from Zedge. It's always going to be one of my applications. You'll see it right there. So if you're looking for this wallpaper, this is exactly how to get it. But I did actually add a little bit of an effect here using HyperOS to be able to do that little bit of a scene. So once I do that, it takes it back and it just does that nice animation configuration that we get in here. Now the model that I have here is 16 gigs of RAM with 512 gigs of internal storage. There's going to be obviously the 12256 model that also will be the one closer to that 300 price point that we talked about. It is running HyperOS 2.0 on top of Android 15. That's going to be coming out of the box. And again, we talked about the Snapdragon 8S Gen 4. That's going to be powering this device. So we did a couple of different tests here with Geekbench. A Geekbench 6 straight standard profile will give us 1948 with 6312 as the multi-core. But when we jump into performance mode, we jump up to 2109 to 6561, and that's going to be the performance system if you want to be able to use it when you're playing games and so on, so you're not going to have any problems. As far as connectivity here in the US, I was only able to pick up 4G LTE. 5G was not able to show up on at least this unit in LA with T-Mobile, so that's going to be my current limitation. But not to worry, 136 down with 17.4 up. Connectivity was not an issue. 4G LTE, at least in the LA area, is so good that sometimes it rivals the 5G connectivity. It's just that typically I like to see that you'll be able to see that 5G connectivity, but we do have voice over LTE, which definitely works really good. So compatibility there is not an issue. Google Play Store to be able to download and install all your applications and of course load up all the content that you want. It has, of course, some great experiences when it comes down to the camera sensors that we have in here. I feel like for the most part on the F7, specifically the F7, it's going to be pretty much a lived-in experience with the primary sensor on the back. The front-facing camera is actually pretty decent, and when I say this essentially is when we start looking at some of the images that we're able to get in here, like the details, the color, the dynamic range. I feel like when we'll get a chance to take a look at those images, it's going to be primarily out of that main sensor. Video capabilities here will be able to give us 4K 60 frames per second on that main sensor in the back. And of course, if we jump into the ultra wide, that's 1080p 30. If we jump into the front facing camera, it's going to be 1080p 60. So the experience changes depending on the sensor that you're using. That 2x mode that you see there is primarily just a crop on the main sensor. Now, as far as the experience that we get in here is for the AI and some of the features that they brought in here. They did bring in the AI functionality. So we have the AI Enhance Plus here that gives us the ability of enhancing the image quality, the AI Expand, the Eraser, and the reflection, as well as the sky changing experience. Let's go ahead and go outside real quick and do a quick camera test from the main sensor on the back and the front facing camera on the brand new Poco F7. Starting off with the front facing camera here, we're going to be capped at 1080p 60 frames per second. Unfortunately, no 4K at this point. Obviously, the Ultra has its own benefits, its own functional options. Here, the main sensor on the back is primarily going to be the best experience, giving us the ability of shooting 4K 60 frames per second. And again, it's not a bad experience. At least we're able to have a high frame rate experience on the 1080p. Let's go ahead and switch over to the main sensor on the back. Now switching it over to the main sensor on the back, 4K 60 frames per second is going to be the primary resolution. We have two sensors on the back, the ultra wide and the main sensor. Now the ultra wide can only shoot in 1080p 30 frames per second, where, well, the main sensor can give us the 4K 60 frames per second, 4K 30, 1080p 30, 1080p 60, and even 720. I think the best experience or your best camera sensor here is going to be your main sensor on the back. It's going to give you the best performance as far as not only audio but video, and of course the best dynamic range, as you can pretty much see in this video. Overall, the performance here is definitely on par with what we should expect with the F7. The 7 Pro and the 7 Ultra definitely step it up, but the F7 definitely kicks in at the right price point that we're seeing here. Again, at about $300 or $400, basically depending on the configuration that you're looking for, this is not going to disappoint. Now, it was a little bit windy when I was shooting that clip outside, so that contributed to a little bit of extra noise in there, but overall, the image and the sound, it actually did come out pretty good. One thing to keep in mind, if you are going to be using the main sensor on the back to be able to shoot your videos, you can actually use, and do apologize for the fingerprints here, you could use some of the reflective pattern here that we have, or basically the reflectiveness of the back as a small mirror to be able to see yourself, and you can frame yourself. Also, just keep in mind that you do need to be a little bit further away, as the camera is providing us somewhat of a 35mm kind of a focal length when it's trying to go in there. So it's a little bit tight if you're just using it at arm's length. But let's go ahead and switch over to the speaker experience. So this is obviously stereo speakers. We're going to go to 100%. This is Alex Scrindo Jumbo by NCS Release.
Jack it up.
Absolutely can get pretty loud. It doesn't distort. It's not super bassy, but definitely sounds pretty good for the experience that we're getting here. Stereo speakers with the bottom firing speaker that's facing sideways, and of course the top earpiece. So holding it sideways like this is going to give you the best experience. Now, let's talk about gaming. One of the biggest things that they talked about during the launch event, obviously, is the fact that this has a massive cooling system here that provides us not only the great experience of using the 8S Gen 4 to give us the powerfulness of the latest, greatest Snapdragon processor from Qualcomm, but also the ability of keeping it cool and running it for an extended amount of time. That 6500 milliampere battery will not disappoint, so we'll go ahead and slide here on the side. We have a nice game launcher that you're able to launch and, of course, customize the experience in here. And you can record, obviously, videos to be able to kind of record the way I did it here. And, of course, you can change the performance setting by jumping into the actual settings in here and use the performance mode as we saw, as that's going to give you the best experience on this device. And what you're seeing there essentially is a good sample of how the gaming experience on the F7 is going to be. It's mirrored on how we saw it on the F7 Pro and the F7 Ultra, but I love the fact, again, at around that $300 to $339 starting price with the early bird price, you're getting all of this. Again, with the 12256 model is where this starts at. You can go all the way to 16512. You're not going to be disappointed. So when it comes down to the camera experience that we have in here, the triple camera stack that we have is pretty well balanced. If you think about it, the main sensor on the back is going to be your performer, right? It's 50 megapixel. You're going to go there. You have your OIS, your 4K 60. It's not going to disappoint. When we want to be able to use ultra wide, you have an 8 megapixel ultra wide camera there. And I feel like that's going to be one of the areas where I feel like they went with a slightly smaller sensor because not a lot of people use ultra wide, but if you need it, it's there. And because it's a 50 megapixel camera, you're able to shoot at a higher resolution and then crop in. Again, that 2x crop that we get in there. The front-facing camera is surprisingly pretty good. If you're trying to take like selfies for portraits and so on, I feel like I'll probably just go with that overall. Because of the experience that you're getting there, you get a better framing, you're able to see yourself, everything looks really nice. And of course, video is going to be absolutely fantastic at 4K 60 from there. I think the combination that they're going for the feature set, the battery size, the cooling system, the material, the design on the silver one, they're really kind of matching it to try to give you a great bang for the buck, which again, Poco is known for and always delivers. This is the thing that we always can rely on. Poco knows how to answer the mail, and not only that, always over delivers on what we expect out of a device. Now, the 8S Gen 4 is a processor that's kind of competing with the 9400E that MediaTek just released. Those two chipsets are kind of like, I would probably say if you had to kind of look at them from the standard stack, there's typically the standard model, which is, let's say, the 94, and then you had the 9400 Plus, and then we had the 9400E. All three are within the same category. Here, this is kind of akin to the 8S Gen 3, closer than it is to the 8 Elite. But it is a new version of it, which is the 8S Gen 4, so you're definitely getting better performance there. You're not going to notice any stutters. You're not going to see any performance issues. Again, my hope is with a couple of updates, we'll be able to pick up 5G connectivity here in the US. But even with 4G LTE, it's been working really nice. So we made it to the end of the video, and this is my question to you. Which color do you prefer the most? Now, I've asked that question over on X, and I actually had the surprising mixed experience. Not everybody went for the silver the way I actually went with. I feel like some people preferred the black or even the white one for the colorway. So the nice thing I'll probably say is I appreciate Poco's attention to details and allowing the colorway matching the side rails on the device. So you're not going to be getting like a silver rail on everything. If you're going with the silver, you'll get the silver. If you're going with the black one, you're going to get a darker shade there. And if you're going with the white one, again, it's going to try to match that experience. So at the end of the day, I personally chose the silver one, the special edition, again, because of that moniker and the nice stack on the top. But I'd love to hear what you guys think. And of course, as usual, like and subscribe. Thank you very much for the support. Thank you to Poco for allowing me to check out the F7. And of course, I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye for now.